number 33, and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yeah, yeah.
We gon' get it right. We gon' get it right. We gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
Protests and anthems, yes, we chanting a movement of people. It's like we dancing to the ministry of. It's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the poor where the princess is. I was told good life is where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify with you and God in time are best aligned.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
How can I be a better father, son, a better grandson, honoring Fannie Lou's and the Fred Hamptons, the Harriets, the chariots that carry us to various areas that marry us to progress. Yeah, we the harvest, the lovely days and midnight marauders, even through charges and days.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, your host and White House correspondent. I'm in touch, and so you be in touch. Follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q, DRNIIQ, and there I am, fresh for you to follow. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580, and there we are for your listening pleasure. Last but not least, subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast. That way, you will never miss an episode. Now, I want to remind you that we have a number of events that are coming up, and one of which is taking place in Altadena. It's taking place in Altadena on November 6th. So for everybody who tunes into A More Perfect Union, know that November 6th, we will be preempted because we'll be joining you live from Altadena for a town hall that you don't want to miss. It is all going down on November 6th from 4 to 6 p.m. At the Victory Bible Church located at 1497 North Hill Avenue in Pasadena. Brought to you by KBLA Talk 1580 and the Black Freedom Fund. The Altadena Town Hall meeting is all about understanding the Wildfire Recovery Compensation Fund. We're going to have representatives there from Southern California Edison. And so I know there are a lot of folks out there that have a lot of questions. We hear you, and we're going to do our best to pass the mic so that you can ask folks the questions that you have on your mind related to the Wildfire Recovery Compensation Fund. All right. Now it's time for your national news roundup. It's time for you to decide the good, bad, and ugly headlines of the day. And kicking us off, we are thinking about our brothers and sisters and siblings in the island nation of Jamaica. NBC News is reporting at this hour that Hurricane Melissa has made landfall in Jamaica as a Category 5 hurricane around 1 p.m. Eastern. That's according to the National Hurricane Center. The storm was downgraded to a Category 4 by 4 p.m. Eastern, but it's already the most powerful of the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season. The Hurricane Center said that it was one of the most powerful hurricane landfalls on record in the Atlantic Basin. Maximum sustained winds are nearly 185 miles per hour, according to some of the latest data from the Hurricane Center, with widespread damage to property and infrastructure expected. At least seven hurricane-related deaths have been reported across the Caribbean, 3 each in Jamaica and Haiti, and 1 in the Dominican Republic. The storm is expected to hit Cuba and bring severe weather to other parts of the Caribbean, including the Bahamas and Turks and Caicos. And so our prayers are with the folks in the island nation of Jamaica, but also in neighboring nations as well. We'll continue to keep you posted as more information becomes available. In other news, in a heated call, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene chastises Republicans over their shutdown strategy. NBC also reporting that Representative Greene ripped into the shutdown strategy of her fellow Republicans and White House staff during a heated conference call today. Her chief complaint, which she has also aired publicly, is that Republicans are not doing enough to address the looming healthcare cliff that she confirmed on X after the call. Some funding for insurance coverage under the Affordable Care Act expires at the end of this year, and many Americans could see monthly premium costs double or even triple. The issue is increased urgency because open enrollment begins on Saturday, November 1st. And there are concerns that people may drop their coverage for 2026 if they see spikes in prices. Today, Representative Greene accused her party of letting the country down, according to a Republican source who was on the conference call. Representative Greene later confirmed the comments herself, even adding more detail in the latest sign of a rift between her and her party. Representative Greene has long been one of President Trump's most vocal backers, but in recent weeks, she's bucked her party on a number of high-profile issues, including the administration's strike in Iran, the conflict in Gaza, and its handling of files related to the Jeffrey Epstein case. Back here at home in LA County, the county has asked the court to block the release of thousands of sheriff deputy photos. The LA Times is reporting that LA County is attempting to block a journalist from obtaining the photographs of about 8,500 deputies and other sworn personnel employed by the Sheriff's Department. The legal dispute centers on a public records request filed back in April 2023 by journalist Cerise Castle. Castle asked county officials to release the names and official headshots of all deputies not working undercover, then sued last summer after her request was denied, alleging a violation of California's open records law. Now, Castle has argued that releasing the images would boost transparency and improve the public's knowledge of law enforcement activities. The department released the deputy names to Castle, but has maintained in court filings that the images are not public records and that they, quote, do not substantially relate to the conduct of the public's business. Okay, so photos aren't a part of the public record all of a sudden? Well, aren't videos a part of the public record? For example, police body-worn cameras, isn't that a part of the public record? So why wouldn't the photographs of public servants, public officials, why wouldn't that be public record? I don't know, questions that need answers. Well, LA County Superior Court Judge James C. Chalfant rejected the county's position, writing in a July decision that its lawyers are, quote, confusing the public's general lack of access with whether official photographs are a public record. The county has also claimed that deputies' personal privacy, personal safety, and effectiveness in their roles could be harmed by the release of images. Castle's battle with the Sheriff's Department, it echoes a similar case involving photos of Los Angeles Police Department officers. In 2022, journalist Ben Camacho and an activist group, Stop LAPD Spying Coalition, posted departmental photos and other information about LAPD officers, which they posted online in a searchable database dubbed Watch the Watchers. So we'll see how this thing shakes out, but that is worth knowing. Also, the LA Times reporting that Trump is trying to subvert California's November 4th election results. You don't have to take that from the LA Times. That is the state attorney general saying that. State Attorney General Rob Bonta said just this past Monday that he anticipates that the Trump administration, which last week announced plans to use federal elections to monitor in California. They're using federal election monitors in California, and they will use false reports by voting irregularities to challenge the results of the November 4th special election. Bonta, who is California's top law enforcement officer, said on a call with reporters that he is 100% concerned about false accusations of wrongdoing at polling places. The attorney general said it would be naive to assume that Trump would accept the results of the November 4th election, given his history of lying about election outcomes, including his loss to President Biden in 2020. The U.S. Department of Justice last week announced that it would send election monitors to 5 California counties where voters are casting ballots in the Proposition 50 election to decide whether to redraw a state's congressional boundaries. When we come forward, we are switching gears. I'm going to have some backup. Experts are joining me momentarily to dig behind some of the day's biggest headlines. I'm talking about folks that are skilled in separating the fact from the fiction. When we come forward, More Perfect Union contributors, Dr. Jonathan E. Collins of Columbia University and our data justice contributor, Jamar Reed, join us on A More Perfect Union when we come forward.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
California, this is your moment. The special election is November 4th, and your vote helps decide your future, your community, and your state. Drop your ballot at a secure drop box. Visit an early vote center or mail it. Your participation powers democracy. Every ballot makes a difference. Tell a friend to do the same. Sign up at where'smyballot.sos.ca.gov to track your ballot. Make your voice count. Don't delay. Vote today. A message from the California Secretary of State.
At Charmin, we heard you shouldn't talk about going to the bathroom in public, so we decided to sing about it.
Light a candle, pour some wine. Grab a roll, the soft kind for a little me time. Charmin Ultra Soft Smooth Tear. Wavy edges for my rear. So let the softness caress your soul. Just relax, you're on a roll. Let her rip. Charmin Ultra Soft Smooth Tear.
Charmin Ultra Soft Smooth Tear has the same softness you love, now with wavy edges that tear better than the leading one-ply brand. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
It's been said that when someone you love has Parkinson's, you have Parkinson's.
The Parkinson's Foundation knows that the disease doesn't just affect the diagnosed. It affects everyone who supports and helps care for them.
If you have questions, the Parkinson's Foundation has answers.
We can help you understand the disease
and give you tips for living a better life.
Find your answers at parkinson.org or call 1-800-473-4636. The Parkinson's Foundation. Better lives together.
On Thursday evening, November 6th, you're invited to the next KBLA Talk 1580 Altadena Town Hall meeting. This time, we're convening at Victory Bible Church, 1497 North Hill Avenue in Pasadena. The town hall will once again be broadcast live on KBLA Talk 1580 from 4 to 6 p.m. on Thursday, November 6th. But you're invited to join us in person for this urgent and necessary community conversation. The theme for this Altadena Eaton Canyon Fire Town Hall is Understanding the Wildfire Recovery Compensation Fund. The primary focus of this gathering is to inform residents about Southern California Edison's newly launched Wildfire Recovery Compensation Program and provide clarity on eligibility and the claims process. There are plenty of questions to be asked, and only KBLA Talk 1580 has the right moderators to ask the tough questions, the right stakeholders and community activists to share their insights, and we have confirmed the participation of corporate executives from Southern California Edison to answer our queries. So be sure to join us at Victory Bible Church in Pasadena, 1497 North Hill Avenue on Thursday, November 6th. The event is free and open to the public, but registration is required at KBLA1580.com. That's KBLA1580.com. Light refreshments will be served immediately following the live town hall. This KBLA Talk 1580 Altadena Rising Town Hall is brought to you by the Black Freedom Fund.
Hit me! National News The Consequence. Informed opinion. And analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and delighted to welcome back to the show Jamar Reed, Mr. Kappa Man himself. He is a data scientist. I call him our data justice contributor. He's also founder of District Analyst LLC. Welcome to the show, Jamar. And we also have Dr. Jonathan Collins, assistant professor of political science at the Columbia University, also a frequent contributor here on A More Perfect Union. Welcome, gents.
Glad to be with you.
Well, glad to have you here. But what a situation that our country is facing at the moment. ABC News reporting that 25 states and the District of Columbia are suing the Trump administration over SNAP benefits. What we know at this hour is that Republican and Democratic lawmakers, they remain at a stalemate on finding a government funding solution to end what is now the second longest shutdown in U.S. history. The Senate failed for the 13th time to advance a bill that would reopen the government until November 21st. The House remains out of session this week. Dr. Collins, let's talk about the people part of this before we get to the politics part of this. There are 42 million Americans who are going to be impacted starting November 1st when their SNAP benefits are no longer available. You know, how are Republicans going to be able to survive, this November election? Forget about the midterms for a second. How are they going to be able to survive this November election when you have that many Americans, many of which are in red states and red districts, that will not have access to this lifeline?
Well, it's going to be difficult because the interesting thing about SNAP benefits as a government resource is that it is indiscriminate, right? And in that this affects everyone. This is, the SNAP benefits are formerly known as food stamps. This isn't a program that only benefits Black or white or Latino or Asian or folks in blue states. This is a program that benefits everybody living under the poverty line. And if you're the Republicans, you're essentially wearing a scarlet letter right now because you are the only thing standing in the way of some of the poorest families in America from receiving basically a monthly allowance that allows them to get access, to basic foods and nutrition. And so, that's not something that's going to fare well with voters in the upcoming midterm elections. You're going from being the party that has essentially driven us into inflation to being the party of starvation. And that's not a good position to be in.
Jamar, how do you make sense of this? I mean, 42 million Americans, when you look through the data, a lot of these folks live in red states. Many of them are white folk, as opposed to, the Black folks that most Americans think will be exceedingly impacted by the loss of access to this lifeline. Let's run the numbers. How can Republicans expect to have a decent showing in this November election with this many people being impacted?
Yeah, Dr. Quartey, and I'm going to piggyback on what Dr. Collins just mentioned. I mean, and then also pointing to the fact that we're on your show, A More Perfect Union, and it calls back to what more of a union than the fact that one group is not going to suffer while the other group is able to get away. And it's as I think about 42 million people that are affected, and like you said, across all states, across all groups. And I think about the fact that, it won't be long and before, we have television interviews of folks that are waiting in line at food banks, trying to, find ways to feed their families because they're not able to access benefits that they've been able to access to help feed their families, especially as we enter into, a tough, end of the year going into next year. So I just think that this is not going to be a good look for either party, but I especially for the Republican Party, as was stated before, that stands in front of folks getting benefits that they need in order to feed their families and to make it through these tough times. So definitely will not be a good look. Yeah, politically.
Dr. Collins. Yeah. I mean, Dr. Collins, what do you make of again ABC News reporting that Senator Schumer says the Democrats will introduce a bill to extend SNAP and WIC funding. He demanded that Republicans sit down and negotiate to reopen the government to address the healthcare crisis. But when he was asked about the American Federation of Government Workers call on lawmakers to pass a clean continuing resolution to turn the lights back on in DC, Schumer said, quotes, "We can do both and we need to do both. Have federal workers get paid and negotiate a way to resolve the American pain and the healthcare crisis." How well is Senator Schumer threading this needle, and will it hold?
He's threading it perfectly. And if you look at the historical precedent on this, that's what's made this government shutdown particularly unique. Not just the length of it, as you mentioned, Dr. Q, this is the second longest government shutdown in modern American history. But in addition to that, usually what happens during these government shutdowns is that the party that is in power still finds ways to pass policies that they agree with. There's just usually one hardline policy that they keep off the table. We haven't seen the Republicans do that at all. The government shutdown has been a complete Washington, D.C. shutdown. They are not getting anything done, and there's been no attempt to put any bills or proposals not only up for the floor, but even in committee. The Capitol has basically turned into a ghost town. I guess Halloween is rightfully coming up because that's what it feels like in the halls of the Capitol right now. And so what Chuck Schumer is doing is filling in the responsibility that usually the party in power takes during the government shutdown. And I think it's a strategy that is very viable, that is very effective, because it signals to the American people, we are here to get things done, and it's legal. Again, there's precedent for this. Usually, Senate lawmakers come together and put together any kind of policy proposal that they can that at least gets us around, again, some of the major debates of the shutdown. And so let's hope that this goes somewhere, because again, people are starving.
Yeah, and speaking of Halloween, turning our attention from the shutdown to these ICE efforts in Chicago, a judge has scolded Trump enforcers after kids were tear gassed on their way to a Halloween party. A federal judge had a clear message to the Trump administration. She will enforce her court orders limiting the type of force agents can use in the city. The U.S. District Court judge today ordered Homeland Security officials to turn over all use of force reports and related body-worn camera footage that the agency has in connection with a Chicago area crackdown. She also cited an October 25th incident in the North Side neighborhood that saw trick-or-treaters tear gassed on their way to celebrate Halloween. Additionally, she warned that she better not receive any complaints on Hollywood night of tear gas being used near children. Know that it is a day when people are going to be out minding their own business. Jamar, what do you make of this? A lot of folks may not even be familiar that such reports exist, that there are use of force reports that are out there. Are judges peeking into those reports enough? Are we doing enough with the information in those reports to hold law enforcement accountable?
Yeah. Dr. Q, I think that's something that, we definitely need to hold law enforcement responsible. I think about the fact that I'll be joining, those on, Halloween night, taking my daughters out to trick or treat. And one of the things that's most important to me as I take them to visit our neighbors in our neighborhood is the safety of my daughters and the safety of my family. And we entrust our law enforcement, we entrust our judges to make sure that we're safe in the environment that we live in, and that we're able to participate with our families in traditions that cause us to be out in the neighborhood. So I'm definitely hoping that that judges apply more pressure for the release of that information, and to make sure that that we're holding folks accountable when they're creating unsafe environments in our neighborhoods, including the police. Yeah.
Dr. Collins, what do you make of this? I mean, we're just days away from Halloween. Should we expect to see federal law enforcement, ICE officials resulting to the tactic of using tear gas on kids? I mean, once upon a time, a headline like this, would draw the ire of Americans across political parties, across the country. But for some reason, this just feels like another day living in Trump's world.
It does. And I got to give you credit, Dr. Q, because you really landed the plane on this, because I was curious how that transition was going to go. It was, speaking of Halloween, I was like, ICE immigration rates. I was like, what? Oh, okay.
That's right.
So incredible job to you. And I'll say really quickly on this, the biggest issue I have with this is that this is a complete breach from what we know ICE protocol to be. Now, I already have critiques of the standard ICE protocol, and this is a significant departure from that. ICE does not have the ability to suspend your sort of basic habeas corpus rights. There are still rights to an attorney. These are supposed to be very sort of secret clandestine encounters. There's supposed to be reasonable suspicion. There's supposed to be a warrant issued. There is a specific set of protocol and practices that are being completely skipped when it comes to this. So not only is this an embarrassment, not only is this traumatic for kids, but it's completely illegal.
It's completely illegal. And if we don't say something quick, they will continue to govern themselves accordingly. Tear gassing kids, going to a Halloween party. That's what it's come to. When we come forward, and we're going to talk about how Texas is suing a Tylenol maker, and how Speaker Mike Johnson says he doesn't see a way to amend the Constitution. At least that's what he says. Is that what we believe? We'll allow our distinguished panel to sound off. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
The audience is listening. Thought-provoking, eye-opening, heart-rendering. This is where authentic voices meet powerful discussions on culture, community, and change. This is where Black voices matter. He's breaking boundaries, amplifying diverse perspectives, and tackling the issues that matter most to you. You're inside A More Perfect Union with Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. The Senate has once again failed to end the government shutdown, now in its fourth week.
The motion upon reconsideration is not agreed to.
Democratic states and Washington, D.C. are suing the Trump administration as millions face losing food aid Saturday. Flight delays are also increasing amid air traffic staffing shortages. Baltimore's Black Mayor Brandon Scott met with Chicago's Black Mayor Brandon Johnson to discuss public safety. Baltimore reports 50 fewer murders than last year, while Chicago saw its safest summer since 1965. Both credit community engagement and a public health approach to reducing violence. And police are searching for Shaquille O'Neal's $180,000 custom Range Rover stolen in Georgia while being shipped from California to Louisiana. The transport company says it was hacked. The dealership is offering a $10,000 reward for its return. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Slowing as you make your way out of Burbank. This is the southbound side of the 5. That drive is really filling in. We're seeing a fender bender southbound just before Buena Vista, adding to a slow drive that's backing up from almost Hollywood Way. Delays beyond and some fender benders in the mix as well as you continue all the way back to the 605. The northbound side of the 5 loading up out of Norwalk, getting away from Rosecrans. Delays taking you ahead as you continue all the way back to the 2. And we're also heading into Pasadena, eastbound 210. Delays from the 134. You're on and off the brakes ahead to Citrus.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Dodger fans might not see Shohei Ohtani swing the bat much the rest of the World Series. If first base is open, Toronto manager John Snyder confirmed that he intends to give Ohtani an intentional walk whenever he comes to the plate. Snyder has seen enough of Ohtani's offense. In the Dodgers' 13 playoff games, Ohtani has 8 homers, 15 hits, and 14 RBIs. Be prepared for a less productive performance at the plate from Ohtani tonight in Game 4. Jackson State, the only HBCU team ranked in the NCAA Division I AA poll, dropped from number 11 to number 20 this week after losing to Grambling Saturday in Las Vegas. Josh McCormick, a senior from Austin, Texas, kicked a 44-yard field goal with 21 seconds left in the fourth quarter to give Grambling a 26-24 upset win. A festive crowd of 29,655 showed up for the first ever HBCU football game played in Vegas. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Break out the champagne. Everybody get a glass.
Tavis Smiley is now ranked number 16 nationally and the highest rated talk show hosted by an African American on the 2025 Talkers Heavy 100 list of the most important talk radio hosts in the nation. Last year, Tavis ranked number 33 and the year before, number 45. The Tavis Smiley Show has rapidly expanded its national syndication to now include nearly 50 radio stations across the country and counting. Congratulations, Tavis.
Yay!
Open enrollment is your opportunity to choose a plan that connects you to Providence's comprehensive healthcare network. Choose a plan that includes Providence and gain access to a dedicated team of highly trained primary care physicians and specialists. From nationally recognized doctors and hospitals, Providence ensures quality care is always within reach. When you choose Providence, you choose after-hours care through our nurse advice line, urgent care, or virtual express care. You choose 24/7 access through the Providence mobile app to message providers, request prescription refills, schedule appointments, check lab results, and more. This open enrollment, prioritize your well-being with the peace of mind that comes from choosing a provider that values excellence and compassionate care. Don't just choose a plan. Choose a plan dedicated to health equity and community engagement. Choose a plan that believes health is a human right. Choose a plan that delivers exceptional care and cares about your community. Choose a plan that offers Providence. Visit chooseprovidence.org to learn more.
Donald Trump has all but declared war on California, sending in the National Guard, blocking disaster relief, and cutting funds to our colleges. And now, he and Texas Republicans are trying to rig the next election by stealing congressional seats from black voters in states like Texas.
They want to rig these elections, and they want the power that gerrymandering provides.
Seriously, look it up. But Prop 50 is how we fight back. It gives Californians the power to fight fire with fire and beat Trump at his own game. Prop 50 creates temporary emergency congressional maps that level the playing field and protect the power of black votes. Not just in California, but across the country. Your vote matters, and the whole country is counting on California to lead. So use your vote to protect our power, our history, and our future. Vote yes on Prop 50 by November 4. Ad paid for by Yes on 50, the Election Rigging Response Act, Governor Newsom's Ballot Measure Committee, Ad Committee's top funders, HMP for Prop 50, and Fund for Policy Reform.
Now back to building a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is a reminder. I want to invite everybody to join KBLA Talk 1580 in St. Jude's Children's Research Hospital in fighting childhood cancer and sickle cell. It starts with a $19 monthly pledge. You can call 1-800-411-9898 to become a donor. And you even get a This Shirt Saves Lives t-shirt. Your donation will help save lives. Again, that number is 1-800-411-9898. 9898. It's worth noting that when St. Jude's opened in 1962, childhood cancer was considered incurable. And today, survival rates have risen from 20% to over 80%. With your support, they won't stop until no child dies from cancer. Again, call 1-800-411-9898 and pledge your $19 monthly and receive your This Shirt Saves Lives t-shirt. And thank you all for your generosity in advance. You are listening to A More Perfect Union, and I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and we're joined with two distinguished contributors, Jamar Reed, who is managing partner of District Analyst, and also Dr. Jonathan E. Collins, assistant professor of political science at the Columbia University. We've been talking a lot about Trump. You know, you can't avoid giving people an update, on Trump. But Texas has been in the news recently, suing Tylenol makers, alleging deceptive marketing to pregnant people. Ken Paxton, the Texas Attorney General, he filed a lawsuit against the makers of Tylenol, claiming that they deceptively marketed the pain medication to pregnant people despite alleged risks of autism and attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD, in children. Paxton, he filed the suit today in Texas State Court against Johnson & Johnson, the creators of Tylenol. And he's also currently running for U.S. Senate. And he's alleging that the companies violated Texas's consumer protection laws for not warning buyers. Is this just a desperate attempt for attention on the campaign trail? That's door number one. Door number two, is he simply doing the bidding of the Trump administration and trying to curry favor by carrying this message about Tylenol somehow being the culprit for spikes in autism? Or door number three, all of the above. Dr. Collins?
I'm going to walk through door number one, and because here's what we know. So if you look at the research literature on this, there's no causal evidence that Tylenol leads to neurodivergence in kids. Now, there is suspicion that significantly high levels or high dosage usage of Tylenol can have implications for women during pregnancy and the kids they carry. But the use of Tylenol in and of itself, there's no research-based evidence, supporting this. So what's happening here is you have Ken Paxton in Texas, who is carrying water for the president, and the president has been adamant about criticizing the U.S. for this increase in neurodivergence cases and kids being diagnosed with autism. The issue here is that, we're not seeing an increase in the diagnosis of kids with autism because of any kind of medical regression. It's actually because we've gotten better and better at testing kids for neurodivergence. We've gotten better at treating kids at early stages for signs of neurodivergence. We're at a place where we see neurodivergence as a spectrum and not just a very sort of solid category that we lump kids in. It's either 0 or 1. No, we're thinking about this with much more nuance and much more complexity. And we're so much better at how we respond with early interventions. And so what Trump is doing is he's completely ignoring the science of this and turning this into a politicized issue that makes it feel like our kids are under threat. And this Tylenol instance is just another instance of the Trump administration creating a boogeyman when no boogeyman actually exists.
I mean, another boogeyman. I mean, my goodness, the boogeyman is it's like a basketball team coming out of this administration these days. Jamar, I've got to ask you, Tylenol makers have repeatedly defended the pain medication. In fact, Kenvue, one of the companies, released a statement today in response to Paxton's lawsuit saying acetaminophen is the safest pain reliever option for pregnant women as needed throughout their entire pregnancy. Without it, women face dangerous choices. They suffer through conditions like fever that are potentially harmful for both mom and baby, or use riskier alternatives. There was a time where we would follow the data. And not only are we hearing these statements from these companies saying it's safe, but there's data that suggests it's safe, yet and still we have not just members of the Trump administration, including the HHS secretary, but you have the Texas Attorney General who is going after these companies alleging deceptive marketing to pregnant women. Why is the data not enough to push back on this radical assertion?
Yeah, so I'm thinking about it. I recently did a talk, and the title of the talk was "Data Doesn't Lie," and I think about that, and it's data doesn't lie, but it can be manipulated, and it is often manipulated. And I think about the fact that also that when you look at the stats, 65% of pregnant women use Tylenol or a similar product during their pregnancy, and that's data coming from the NIH in 2024. And when we start to play with the public health, we start to play with the public trust, and manipulating data to create fear and distrust within our public health system is not something that I think that we should take lightly. And we need to make sure that the data is in place and that there are checks in place to check those that are disseminating information, to make sure that it's not, that we're not using it for political means. So definitely something that gives pause. And again, as I stated before, playing with the data and messing with public health information is where we move into. We mess with the honesty that folks that the trust that people put in public health. So.
And speaking of the public trust, one of the things that undergirds the public trust here in the United States is the Constitution. And the Constitution says, 22nd Amendment says, you can't be president for more than 2 terms. That's it. You can't do it. And we're seeing Speaker Johnson say today that he doesn't believe President Trump has any real inclination to attempt to defy the Constitution and run for a 3rd time, saying, quotes, "There is the 22nd Amendment. I think the president knows, and he and I have talked about the constrictions of the Constitution." Dr. Collins, what do you make of the fact that the Speaker of the House is having conversations with the president about the constrictions of the Constitution?
It suggests to me that we are headed into a situation where we're going to have to think actively about how to prevent Trump from pursuing a 3rd term. It makes me think of the Trump administration operating under a phrase that became very popular in the Black community maybe about a decade or so ago. Dr. Q, you might remember the phrase, "Who gonna check me, boo?"
That's right. Right. And it ain't Speaker Johnson.
That is the type of energy that the Trump administration, that Trump himself is bringing, to these conversations about constitutionality. And so the interesting thing to me here, though, is not just that there's a Amendment 22 that stands in the way. There's Amendment 14, that stands in the way as well, which prevents one from being on the ballot across states for president when one has been convicted of inciting an insurrection. And so, to me, the biggest question, are states even going to let that happen? Are states, after this sitting president has been convicted of inciting insurrection with clear and undeniable evidence, are you even going to let him enter the ballot in a presidential primary if you're the Republican Party? And then from there, are we going to start to enforce the 22nd Amendment?
Well, I mean, it's kind of hard to imagine enforcing anything because it doesn't seem as if any of the guardrails have kicked in. During the first Trump term, I think we saw a number of checks and balances that at least scuttled his attempts to turn his back on the Constitution. Now, We can't even see our co-equal branches of government operating as they have in the past. And so, Jamar, I've got to ask you, where do you see this thing going? Is there, any opportunity short of folks showing up en masse at the election, to stop this sort of sense of inevitability that the sitting president, to me, seems to be trying to create, this inevitability that there will be at least an attempt at a third term?
Yeah, you talk about the guardrails, and I think about the fact that at every turn the guardrails have been tested, and going back to they've been tested, and it's starting to feel like the Constitution is a suggestion, not something, not a contract between the people and their government. And that's something that keeps me, thinking about the fact that we need these guardrails, where these guardrails are being tested, and we must be in position, and we must be in place, and also showing up to vote to make sure that we're not only relying on the guardrails that are in place, but we're also supporting those guardrails and making sure that our government works for us and not for the person in office.
Dr. Collins, how is it that you have a sitting president that, to Jamar's point, seems to be referencing the Constitution as a suggestion, and you don't hear any clear voices from the opposition, Democrat, Republicans that are in opposition, independents that are in opposition, Green Party that's in opposition. Jill Stein, if you're listening, blink twice if you're still with us, because we ain't seen you, we ain't heard from you since the election. We probably won't see and hear from you until 2028. You're welcome to come here on A More Perfect Union anytime. But people want to know, where is the opposition with a clear and distinct voice, making clear that even flirting with this idea is absolutely un-American?
Well, I think they're stunned. Dr. Q, I don't know if you've been following.
They're still stunned? We're almost a year in to this next administration. Folks are still stunned?
Well, here's the analogy, right? So I don't know if you've been following what's been going on with the NBA, right? And so there's this massive gambling scandal that's occurring, where an NBA coach and an NBA player have been compromised, and they trace that the gambling incident to the mob, where they've essentially come in and coerced potentially a coach and a player to engage in acts that essentially allow for gamblers to make money illegally and essentially commit fraud against the league and against gambling companies. And so that's the biggest threat to the league, is the idea that this outside force could come in and make players stop playing by the rules, right? The Constitution for us is, these are the set of rules. The court system, they are the referees. But what the Trump administration has done, Donald Trump has come in and said, I don't care about the rules. I'm going to wipe my butt with the rules. And who going to check me, boo? Because I'm going to go to the referees and I'm going to ignore every call they make against me. And I'm going to weaponize every call that they make for me. And so I think the Democrats are used to playing a game with rules. They're used to playing a game where there are referees. They're used to structure. They're used to order. And Trump has wiped all of that away. And I think they have no idea how to respond.
When we come forward, the Washington Post editorial fails to disclose Jeff Bezos's interest. Is this just another sign of what is to come? We're going to talk about it. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
You're still glowing, flirting, grooving. You still got it. But your immune system weakens as you age, making it harder to fight flu, pneumococcal pneumonia, RSV, and COVID-19. Vaccines are a key part of any health routine and help strengthen your immune response. Ask your doctor or pharmacist which vaccines you need. Schedule in minutes at vaxassist.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month. LifeLock is here with tips to help protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication, report scams, and update your software. And for comprehensive identity protection, LifeLock is your best choice. LifeLock alerts you to suspicious uses of your personal information and fixes identity theft, guaranteed, or your money back. Start your protection today with a 30-day free trial at LifeLock.com. Use promo code NEWS. Terms apply.
September is World Alzheimer's Month, a time to shine a light on a public health crisis that hits Black families hardest. 1 in 5 Black adults ages 70 and older is living with Alzheimer's disease, or AD, and it's not a normal part of aging. Early signs like repeating questions, missed appointments, even trouble handling bills might seem small, but they matter. The good news, there are treatment options available that may slow AD when diagnosed early. Don't wait. Visit treatalzearly.com. That's treatalzearly.com to learn more. This message is brought to you by AZI.
California, this is your moment. The special election is November 4th, and your vote helps decide your future, your community, and your state. Drop your ballot at a secure drop box. Visit an early vote center or mail it. Your participation powers democracy. Every ballot makes a difference. Tell a friend to do the same. Sign up at where'smyballot.sos.ca.gov to track your ballot. Make your voice count. Don't delay. Vote today. A message from the California Secretary of State.
Donald Trump has all but declared war on California, sending in the National Guard, blocking disaster relief, and cutting funds to our colleges. And now, he and Texas Republicans are trying to rig the next election by stealing congressional seats from Black voters in states like Texas.
They want to rig these elections, and they want the power that gerrymandering provides.
Seriously, look it up. But Prop 50 is how we fight back. It gives Californians the power to fight fire with fire and beat Trump at his own game. Prop 50 creates temporary emergency congressional maps that level the playing field and protect the power of Black votes. Not just in California, but across the country. Your vote matters, and the whole country is counting on California to lead. So use your vote to protect our power, our history, and our future. Vote yes on Prop 50 by November 4th. Ad paid for by Yes on 50, the Election Rigging Response Act, Governor Newsom's Ballot Measure Committee, Ad Committee's top funders, HMP for Prop 50, and Fund for Policy Reform.
We face tragedy, but we don't fall into despair. We continue our work to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and I'm joined with Jamar Reed, the managing partner, district analyst, also Dr. Jonathan Collins, assistant professor of political science at Columbia University. It's time for the quiet part out loud. The Washington Post, the NPR reporting that the Washington Post editorials, they omit a key disclosure: Jeff Bezos' financial ties. You see, a year ago, in explaining why he had blocked the publication of an endorsement of Democratic presidential nominee Kamala Harris, Washington Post owner and Amazon founder Jeff Bezos, he conceded that, quote, "When it comes to the appearance of conflict, I am not an ideal owner of the Post." On at least 3 occasions in the past 2 weeks, an official Post editorial has taken on matters in which Bezos has a financial or corporate interest without noting his stake. In each case, the Post official editorial line landed in sync with their owner's financial interests. And in the most recent instance, the Post defended President Trump's jaw-dropping move to raise the East Wing of the White House without any of the typically required studies or consultations as he seeks to build this vast ballroom. Is this about as much disclosure as we're going to get from Jeff Bezos, saying that, well, you know, I'm not the ideal owner, but it is what it is? Dr. Collins?
I think it is the best that we're going to get. And I think the Bezos has to understand, or maybe he doesn't need to understand, and he continues to underestimate the fact that when he makes these moves, there are clear, responses that the American people make in retaliation, that he is actually fueling the opposition, that he is actually creating energy for folks to develop more of a social movement around this continued autocratic system that is forming around us. Because if you go back to 2024, when the story came out about, Bezos blocking this endorsement, the Washington Post lost, I think, over 200,000 subscribers, right? 200,000 subscribers stopped giving their money to the Washington Post when they heard about what Jeff Bezos was doing here. And so what he continues to live a life of hypocrisy. On one end, he was making an argument about distancing himself from politics, or saying that the Washington Post had no business in being involved in politics, that it should maintain an independence. And then you look at what he's contributing now. How is this independence? This looks like this looks like a bedfellow. This does not look like someone who's independent.
I mean, you say bedfellow. Other folks may say intimate worker. I don't know if I can say on air, but it seems like there's a level of political prostitution. We'll put it that way. That is afoot here. I mean, I don't know how many ways I can. That was the more subtle. That was right. I mean, but really, I mean, okay, brother. You gotta put that sauce on it. Maybe that's how we got into it. It's too much sauce. But I'll say this, DeMar, I'll give you the last word. Clearly, the subscribers to Disney made their voices known when Jimmy Kimmel was pulled off the air for several days. Clearly, consumers of Target are making their voices known. Is it time for consumers of Amazon, not just the Washington Post, but Amazon, to make their voices known? Do they know that they're underwriting the cost of this $300 million ballroom?
Yeah, I think very quickly, I'm just going to say that's the power of the people. I mean, when you give billionaires the ability to influence decisions in this country, especially around our elections, you take away the power of the people to select who represents us, and it's a shame. So I hope that people speak up on this matter. So,
our thanks to Jamar Reed and Dr. Jonathan Collins. Please come back again soon, gents. A good Kappa man, a good Morehouse man. When we come forward, we're switching gears, more headlines, and you don't want to miss my conversation with CNN's Abby Phillip. She has a new book out on Jesse Jackson that you don't want to miss. You're listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
Harvey, Illinois held its first city council meeting since furloughing 69 workers. Residents are demanding transparency while union leaders are seeking clarity on how long furloughs will last.
We all want Harvey to grow. We want real homes. We want real investment. We want progress we can see.
Black Mayor Christopher Clark says the city faces a $100 million deficit and needs state aid. 2 million Illinois SNAP recipients may need alternative food sources after November 1st. Lawmakers, including House Speaker Chris Welch, showed support at a giveaway event at Living Fresh Market, the nation's largest Black-owned grocer, which will donate produce weekly to a local food pantry. And Sean Diddy Combs is set to be released from federal prison on May 8th, 2028, after serving about 3 years. He was convicted of interstate prostitution, but acquitted of racketeering and sex trafficking charges. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Culver City on the 405 southbound before Venice Boulevard. Debris in the second lane from the left. DeSoto